It's a full tutorial on how to do the 12-ounce sublimation wine wrap. It has to be a straight sublimation wine tumbler to do this. I have the kind of design already cut. I cut one edge straight here so that you don't see the design, no white is left. I leave a white piece on this side, and then I cut it here so that there is, when it overlaps, that it will not have the white there. And then you make small cuts. These don't have to be exact. They can be varying widths. It's not really a big difference, but you want to go almost to the main design here. Not up into it, but almost to it. So then I just make my cuts here. Just keep cutting. You don't want them real small, but you don't want them big either. So there are my cuts. So it's kind of like a fringe on the paper. You can see a little better on this side. So it's like a fringe. Next thing you want to do, and one thing that you do have to have, is yellow tape for this. I had tried multiple different tapes. You cannot use anything except for this yellow tape, because this tape is, okay, I can't think right this second. Sorry. It stretches. Where thicker tape, which I use for everything else, doesn't stretch, you need to have this stretch here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put it along the edge to where the tape is, and this will help to keep from any overlap or anything coming through with the ink coming through. Just knock your stand, sorry. A little wobble there, and I just go ahead and just cut that off. Now I can see that my tape is overlapped just a little bit, so I need to undo that. And this tape, it doesn't pull the tape of paper or anything, so then I just reposition it in. You don't want any overlap to come outside of the paper, because you don't want any white spots. This specific design has white in it, so it wouldn't have mattered as much, but you would just want to make sure that that is clear so that there's nothing over the edge. All right, now that this is taped, you can see that I have my tape on the edge back here, just so you can see what the back looks like. I'm going to take my wine cup, and this is cut so it perfectly fits to this edge. I found that it works best for me that way, so that it doesn't overlap and it folds better. So that's up to you. You can I've seen others that have their paper that laps all the way around. I just don't myself. This is just my preferred method. So I go ahead and wrap so that the very top is right on the edge of the paper, because I've taped pretty close to it. This is where my white seam is, so I can pull on it. So now I can see that my paper is going to go to the edge. That's what I want. I'm going to get this positioned correctly, and then pull it tight. Make sure I got it. It's right to the edge there. Pull that just a tiny bit more. There we go. Okay, and then line up your paper. And you tape this just like you would any other tumbler that you're taping. I put one in the center and I pull on that. Put another one down here at the bottom. I do the middle first so that I know that it's tight, and then I do either top or bottom. It doesn't matter, but I do 3 pieces of tape. And even though this one's small, I still go ahead and do those 3 pieces of tape. And this yellow tape doesn't hold quite as well, so sometimes you'll see like that just come untaped. I didn't get it marked down there. Okay, so I've got this super tight. The paper's not moving at all. Now, I haven't taped this to the actual tumbler itself. It's just taped between it. See, that tape just came loose. You can feel that there's a little bit of looseness there, so I'm going to go ahead and take that one off and retape it. That's the problem with this yellow tape. It's not great quality, but for this purpose is why I use it, because it... See, now that piece is not holding. Usually I don't have that much problem, but... Dang, man. Alright. Tape, cooperate, please. Okay. There, I got it. So the tape is on there. You can see it's taped. Now I can make adjustments because I have not taped it to the actual cup at this point, but it's super tight. So it can move down if it adjusts. And sometimes when you're taping, it does move, specifically on this wrap. So you do have to watch. So we got it right to the edge so that it'll be right on the curve, which is how I personally prefer it, because I feel like it tapes a little better. So now I got this fan here, and this is what I do. I take a long piece. It can be any size. It doesn't really, it's just whatever you're comfortable with. So then right here at this where I've cut off that little extra white, and it's just at the cut marks so that it starts covering the cut marks, I'll just start pulling, and I do stretch the tape a little bit so that it pulls it tighter. And that is the trick for me to make sure that I'm using the stretchy tape, because without the stretchy tape I can't pull these papers in. Now as I'm going in, I pull these papers in and they'll start overlapping. So you got to watch this very first, that you get these to overlap correctly and that they don't leave a gap. So you can just go around, look at them, and you can see that they naturally start overlapping as you go in. You just go around and make sure that they're all, you know, sometimes they can get caught just a little bit, and you just have to help them that very first. And then as you start, the next tape will go right on top of the other. See this? You can see where it's hung up just a little bit right here. So it's kind of buckled right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and just adjust it. Push that back in and make sure that that's flat. Just keep going around. And now once I got that very first set started, I don't have to worry about the papers anymore, because they will automatically keep following the folds that I've already done. So now you can see the papers are getting tighter. The overlap is getting more. And as I go around, I'm continuing to pull on the tape so it gets tighter. See there, you can see it stretch. Oh! That's funny. Okay, so sometimes I pull too hard and it crinkles up the paper and just pulls off, which is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Sorry, I bumped my tripod when I did that, because I got you right next to me so that you could get an up close view of what I'm doing. So a little wobble there. And just keep pulling and tightening. Now that I've got to this very top, I probably could have done a little shorter piece right there, but see, I got this little flip right here. Not that it's going to matter because it's behind a paper, but I'm going to go ahead and just hold that down, pull this, get it flat. I'm over the edge now, and I want to make sure that I get around this bottom. Now again, you can print this a little bit taller if you want a little bit more overlap. Like I said, mine goes right to the edge because I didn't like the extra, because it left me a little bubble, but that is a personal preference. I know most of them do theirs longer than mine who do this technique. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I've got the bottom completely covered. So now you can see there's white spots here. I don't know if you can see in this. I'll fly right there. See these white spots? Now those are all air bubbles underneath the tape that we need to take care of. So you'll see, hopefully you can see in the video, that there's white spots. Like there's a white seam here. Now if I didn't do anything from here, those would still be there. I don't need that much tape. I'm going to take one more, and I'm going to put it along this seam here. And then I have where the white paper went, and I go ahead and I consider these my under seams. So when you hear me talk about under seams, it's where the paper actually connects underneath in seams that we're not seeing. So those under seams for me are the most important part. Not necessarily the ones on the outside, but the ones underneath. So like here, there's a ridge right here. This is where the paper is when it folded down. You can see the top paper, but you can't see this bottom paper. I can in person. This is the bottom paper where that seam is. That's an under seam that we'll have to connect. So there's V's all the way across here. Okay, now this is the most important part. You get any type of vinyl scraper, anything like that. These are vinyl scrapers that I have. I like these smaller ones, but you can use anything you have. Bone folders, something that has a dull edge that you can really push on. Okay, so you see this white bubble? Let me go over the top of this. And I really push against this and get right in there, and you'll see all of those in person. You can see them. I don't know whether you'll be able to see them on the video or not. But all of that is completely gone once you do this. Like I said, in person, you can really tell, and you're putting quite a bit of force onto this. Now, this, hopefully you can see, like there's a white, it's like an air bubble right here. For instance, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I go right over the top of it, right into the crease of the paper, go to the next one. Now I'm getting the underseam with it, and just keep going. And you can see the V's. Now all of that air is removed. This is what's going to make the difference between having seaming on your cup and not. Now you'll also see there's where the papers are cut. Sometimes there's air gaps there, and you also go across that. You just go across everything, under seams and top seams that you can see. And once you go over the top of like this, you can see, I hope you can see anyway on this video, that there's a clear edge right here where the paper cut is. But once I go over this, and that's right where the paper, or where the tape is, so it the edge of my tape. So I want to make sure I'm getting this underseam right there too, because there's V's under here. And now that I've done that, that looks almost smooth. Versus this one where you can see it's right there. This one was the same way when I did it. But once I do the vinyl scraper over the top of it, it's almost like that type almost disappears. So I'm really pressing the paper and getting all of those seams out, all that air out, pushing the paper down, so that they're right up against each other. Keep pushing. And I just go through the whole thing. And don't forget your underseams, because there's ridges, there's V's underneath here that have to be taken care of too, because you don't want all your air underneath that. And you just keep going all the way around your cup. This does take a little bit, but it's well worth it by the time that you get done. And the more that you do it, it does take practice. I did multiple designs. I did a total of probably 75 cups over and over, different designs, because I wanted to perfect this, how to do it the best way. Okay, so now I've already done the whole thing. I'm just going to go back through one more time, get right into it, just to glance through it, see if I see any air, white spots. And when you're doing it in person with this yellow tape, you can see exactly where there's spots that need to be rubbed. Okay. Just keep going. So this does take a bit, and it isn't for everyone. But I love the way that these come out, and it does take work compared to a regular tumbler. Alright, now you can really see my seam lines underneath there. They all look pretty cool. Oh, you know, I'm going to do just a tiny bit here. I think I've got it, but sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, that little bit. Just going the opposite way. Getting these back seams. Alright, so you can see the ridges when you're in person. You can see where the ridges are. Before, you couldn't see those ridges. So you know that that did a pretty good job. Top is where I want it. And again, it's not right on this edge on this specific design because it's white on the background. So that I wasn't concerned about. Now, I could tape the top, which you're welcome to tape the top, but that's how you would like to do it. I use these silicone bands from Amazon and put it on top, and that is in lieu of the actual tape. Doing the same thing, but these are reusable. It just makes it super fast, easy. And then you can either do this in a air fryer, which is my personal preferred way of doing it, or you can do it in a oven. You're not able to do this in a press because you will not be able to get this heated enough. So let me put this in the oven or in the air fryer, and I will be back when it is done. Here's the cup just out of the air fryer. So it is super hot. Just gonna get this off. These are super hot, so you definitely don't want to touch those. Okay, so you find the edge of your tape. This is just how I do it. Again, it's super easy. I just take and just roll it. Getting the tapes off pretty fast. It doesn't take very long to untape these if you do it all in one direction. And the yellow tape doesn't hold super well, so sometimes it can start excuse me, start coming up. So here we go. There's no white lines. Now you can tell that there are cuts in the lines because of the design. A lot of times I'll use regular glitter so that you can't see it as much, but this, I wanted the cheetah print. Oh, too high. I apologize. So here are the lines. You can see that there's no ghosting or white spaces in them at all. The cheetah print, you can see where it's been cut a little bit, but it does have glitter behind it, so I don't think that detracts from it. I wanted the cheetah print to match the elf hat and booties area here. And then I did the blue snowflakes over the top to give it a little bit of character there. So that is the full wrap tutorial on how to do the seams. This, like I said, comes right to my edge. That's why I have mine cut the way I do, so it doesn't go over the top, but you can see it's right to the edge. And that is a purpose, or on purpose, design wise for mine. You can extend this just a little bit if you'd like to go over the top. That's just a personal preference again. So here we are, and the full wrap wine tumbler.